Hello friends, Kid Charming here. So you can probably hear, it is raining. It's like 8 degrees. So it's beginning to not look a lot like Christmas. So I have been waiting since the Christmas music started. There's one radio station right now that's actually only playing that is playing like Christmas music a lot already. And I know I'm going to get tired of it because I always get tired of Christmas music pretty quick. I'm like, where's my regular music? I just can't. But right now I'm really in the Christmas spirit and I don't know why. I'm usually not this excited for Christmas. I'm not usually this pumped for Christmas. I think it's because I actually have a tree up this year. And that's always a bonus for me. I love the Christmas tree. I love seeing the presents under the Christmas tree. I love, spending my time with my wife on Christmas is one of my favorite things. That and on a birthday. I love it on a birthday too. I'm getting her a lithograph t-shirt for her birthday. If you don't know what that is, look it up. Lithograph t-shirts. It's really cool. But yeah, wow, it's really coming down today. I've been waiting for one Christmas song so far. And I don't know why it's my new favorite Christmas song. It started last year. I used to hate this song a lot. I used to despise this song. I thought it was so dumb. And it's very, very much against what people would think my favorite Christmas song is. And right now, not forever, it hasn't always been my favorite Christmas song, but right now, my favorite song for Christmas is Santa Baby. I don't know why all of a sudden I just love that song, but it's so good. I heard a song today for the first time, really. I'd heard little clips of it before. I haven't heard the full song. I've only heard part of it. But it's Rockstar by Post Malone. And those of you who are like, where have you been? I listen to a lot of country music. That's where I've been. I love all music, but lately I've been primarily towards country music. So I like that song too. I like the way it flows. It's very I don't know, mellow, but not at the same time. It's really nice. I like it. Yeah. Santa Baby. It's so good. The person's greedy as hell, but so good. It's probably why I didn't like it before. I don't know. I had a really weird way of thinking. I was very much judgmental at the time too, so I'm not like that anymore. You be you, dude, and I'll be me, and that's cool. But yeah, it's exactly how I feel today. Whoa, do you guys hear that? It's crazy. I'm gonna get soaking wet when I go inside. Oh yeah, today's day one. Day one of training. Already don't like the late start because I can't get my spot in the morning. And by spot, I mean my parking spot. I am not in my regular parking spot and I don't like that. I am a creature of habit. I like to be sitting in the same spot. It's part of a routine that I have, and I don't like when my routine gets messed up. I burnt my hair last night. You can't really see it, but it's a little red up here, and a little red down here, and a little red up here. Yep. I was putting wood in the fire, and my hand hit the inside, and it burned. So I didn't sleep well last night because I kept having to put a cold compress on it, but I couldn't have the cold on for too long, or it would hurt. So it was on, off, on, off, on, off, on, off. And then I only have 2 really good cold compresses, ones you put in the fridge or freezer. So I had to keep switching them out, so I didn't get much sleep because it kept burning. It would burn a lot. My burn is nowhere near as bad as my wife's was when we got married. So 2 weeks before we got married or something like that, Lena had an accident at work where the coffee pot, where your filters go in the coffee pot and they hold the grounds in there. And she works at McDonald's, so they have a really high temperature that they brew their coffee at. And the reason, that's probably one of the biggest reasons why their coffee tastes so good. Like, they have now reached number 1 in Canada when a vote was done over Tim Hortons. The thing is that they bought Tim Hortons coffee. They bought the rights to Tim Hortons coffee, but they make it better because of the high temperatures in which they brew it at. That's my guess. I don't know that for sure, but I'm guessing that's the reason why. But with high temperature comes high possibilities for burns, like it's a worse burn. So Lena put it in, and she went to like grab something underneath of it, and when the coffee started pouring in, it wasn't in properly. Whoever did it, Lena wasn't the one to put it in there, but whoever did it, the thing was warped or something like that, so it didn't fit in there properly, and it came out with this high like temperature, like high temperature coffee, water. And of course, like with the waters on the steel of the holder thing that has the filter in it. Anyway, that metal that had been heated up from all that like scalding hot water, that hit her on the hand on its way down, like landed on her hand and fell, which melted the skin, like literally, like it was disgusting. Like, I'll explain something in a minute. And then right after that, boiling hot water and coffee grounds and all this stuff hits her hand afterwards. So you get the hit with the scalding hot like metal, which like melts the skin, and then the hot water and coffee grounds on top of it. Like, I was horrified when I heard about it. So we were talking about bandaging it or whatever, because we were going to New Brunswick for my family reunion. She's like, well, while we're home, like while we're still here in Nova Scotia, I'll go over to Tara's, and Tara will bandage it for me. And then when we go to New Brunswick, I'll get your mom to bandage it for me. And I'm like, what? I can't do it? Like, what are you saying? Like, what are you insinuating, that I can't help you, that I can't bandage your wound here? Like, what's up? And she's like, you want to see it? I'm like, yeah, that's no problem. And I looked at it, I'm like, and she's like, and that's why you're not doing it. I'm like, good call. That was a good call on your part. Good job. You knew that I wouldn't be able to handle it. She had to use this stuff called second skin because she had a 3rd-degree burn, which isn't just how deep the burn is, but the like area in which, like how much area it's taking up. And when she went to emerge afterwards, because she didn't even notice that this happened, like people were like, holy crap, like she knew it happened, but she didn't notice how bad it was. And then people were sharing her like, you need to put your hand under water right now. And I was like, it's the worst idea right now. You don't do that. It's going to shock your system. What did it do? She put her hand under cold water. That's when she starts to feel the burn, because of all the adrenaline must have like caused it to happen. And then all of a sudden she screams. This is all secondhand, of course. My sister-in-law, Jess, was there. Like my sister Tara's, they're not married yet. I don't know if they're getting married, but they're common-law at this point. So, she was like, Lena, we got to get you to the hospital. I'm at work. It was like a graduation for a program that I was in at my old job. And I'm getting this text message saying, don't worry, taking Lena to the hospital. Her hand got burnt. And I'm like, oh, good Lord. Lena didn't have any, like the McDonald's that she worked at the time was in a Wilson's gas station. They didn't have time. Like Lena didn't have time. Like she couldn't remember where her debit card was. She didn't have any gas in her car. So Jess, my sister-in-law, was like, we need gas. Is it cool if we just get the gas and leave and we can pay for it when they get back? They're like, go for it. She needs to go to the hospital. So that was really nice. There was no problem there. Of course, they paid for it after when she was done. And they take her to the hospital. The doctor there is a freaking moron. And he's like, oh yeah, it's fine, don't worry about it. You know, it's only a few centimeters in diameter. It was more than an inch in diameter. Like, it took up this whole part of her hand. Like, all of that. Like, it's more than a centimeter. So, Lena didn't take any time off work at that point. Because it wasn't, like, the doctor didn't say she had to take off time. So, she ended up going to her regular doctor. And she's like, oh yeah, you had a burn. And Lena goes, yeah, this is what it looks like. She goes, are you still working? And he's like, well, yeah, they didn't tell me I couldn't work. And she's like looking at the paperwork from the walk-in and going, this guy's an idiot. Like, you cannot be working right now. You need to go on workers' comp because you cannot work. You cannot have that go anywhere near anything hot. You can't have that in the sun. You need that wrapped all the time. Like, this has to be wrapped for like a month. Like, you cannot, because your skin needs to grow back. You can't have this have any sunlight. You can't have it do anything like that. It was to the point where she almost wasn't allowed to go on the cruise because we'd be out in the sun. But she's like, I'm going to wrap my hand the entire time, so I'm fine. And by the time we were there, like, because that happened like a couple weeks before, and then we got married, then the next week we went on the cruise. So it was close to time, but they were really, really, really skeptical on whether she should go. And she's like, I'm going regardless. Like, I didn't pay for this. I need to go. That, and I just need some time away. Like, I took vacation. Like, I have to. So she did that. And then we got back, it was getting better. So she'd make sure she put sunscreen on it and stuff like that. But like, it was a bad burn. So my burn is nothing compared to my wife's burn. Like, that was a horrible burn. Like, I couldn't even look at it. She has pictures, and every time she tries to show people and I'm around, I'm like, because you can see like the melted skin, like, just still there. It needed to be cut off. Like, it was gross. Like, seriously disgusting. Sorry if you're squeamish, but yeah, it was, ugh. So when someone says, oh, I got burned, it's terrible, I'm like, you don't know what terrible is. I don't know what terrible is. Lena knows what terrible is. And she's like, she gets really like, you know, you hate those people that are like, you have no idea what that's like. But I mean, I witnessed what she had to go through. Like, I don't know the pain she went through, because that had to be like, this second skin stuff had like cooling stuff on it. Because it had to, because she was burned, and like her hand is now, was like her, like stuff was showing. It needed to be protected. It was very sensitive. So when people burn their hands at her work, she's like, that's fine. She's like, I may be a little hard on them because, yeah, what happened to me was terrible, but, you know, to them, that's a really bad burn for them. She's like, I can't really hold them to my standards, seeing as how that what happened to me was terrible, but she's like, I can't help but feel that way. Because for over a month, she had to take care of that and change the bandage like once or twice a day. Like, and it was painful every time. Like, I remember when we were in New Brunswick and she had to get it switched over. If she'd waited just a tiny bit too long, it would be like it was kind of like sticking. And my mom felt so bad because my mom's changing this bandage. Lena's looking away from it, and she's looking at me, and she's holding onto my hand, squeezing my hand. And I'm there like, it's okay. Don't worry about it. It's going to just be okay. And mom's pulling it off. She's like, I'm sorry. Like, my mom took really good care of her hand while we were away. Like, I love my mom. My mom's a good caretaker. So yeah, like, it was painful. Like, she went through a lot of pain, and it wasn't just the instant pain or whatever when it happened, like, continuous pain. And even now, 3 years later, more than 3 years later, that's part of her skin. Like, you can't really see the scar unless she gets a tan, and then you can kind of see it a little bit better. But it's still more sensitive to the air and to temperature change than the rest of her hand is. Like, I have a scar on mine, not as noticeable, but when I was little, for whatever reason, I wanted to check if a curling iron was still hot, and instead of just like, you know, putting my hand over it to see if there was any heat, I took the iron and went on my hand and burned like a big part of my hand. Because I'm just stupid. It's fine. Just don't do that. That's a bad idea. As a child, I didn't really understand what was going on. I don't know what possessed me to do that. Probably the ADHD, because ADHD, you just kind of make split-second decisions, and you're like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. Nope, that was a bad idea. I still do that sometimes. Yeah. Burns are freaking horrible. I would say they're worse than paper cuts. A burn is worse than paper cut. Paper cuts hurts forever, and they're small little things, but a burn just keeps burning. It just keeps hurting and burning. Like, my hand still, it hurts today. My buddy JD, he works at a crystal place where they made like crystal glasses and stuff like that. Like crystal figures and all that jazz. It's the only place around that you can learn to like blow crystal and make crystal and all that stuff, like how to make those things out of crystal. It's very expensive. Crystal is very expensive. And he works there. Like right now he's just, you know, like sanding edges and marking things to be cut and stuff like that. But sometimes he helps with bringing things back and forth that are really hot, like out of the kiln and stuff like that. And one day it hit his arm, like the kiln door hit his arm and burnt him pretty bad. And he was like, I didn't even really notice. And then someone was like, he went over to somebody like, yeah, is this bad? And they're like, oh my gosh, JD, yes, that's terrible. You can't work for the rest of the day. Like I think he was doing overtime or something like that. And like, you can't work because that can't be near heat right now. So yeah, like it's pretty big and it covers a big area of his arm. Like it's a lot smaller than it was when it originally happened, but he showed me the scar and I'm like, oh dude, that's going to scar pretty bad. But yeah, like we all have those burn stories where we did something stupid. Like I have a rope burn on like scar on my arm. If I can, I don't know if you guys could probably see it or not. Yeah, you can. That's a rope burn scar from when I was on Tree this summer. It freaking hurt. I literally watched the rope burn into my arm. It was not pleasant in the least bit. And then I had to pull myself backwards because that rope was not supposed to be on that side of my person. Yeah. So I burned myself, and then like I watched this thing because I'm on like this holy zipline thing going this way, and this rope is like reeling into my arm, and I'm like, holy crap, that really freaking hurts. Like that's not cool. And then not only after that, I have to pull myself backwards because that rope wasn't supposed to be anywhere near me. So insult to injury on that one. Whoops. Oh, good Lord. I need to get a better one of these. What had happened is I still have some of the wire wound up and it fell from its holding space and pulled my phone. I apologize. I need to get one of those ones like the shotgun microphones, like mini ones that you can just plug in on the side. That'd be good too. Not that I don't like this lapel mic. I do. I like the lapel mic, but the wire gets in the way. But I don't have like $50 to spend on another microphone. I don't think my wife would appreciate it if I spent another $50 on a microphone. I only spent like $30 on this one. Or is it $70 for the shotgun mic? The Rode one is, and the Rode one's a really nice one. I'll look into it though, after Christmas. But yeah, like we all have those burn stories, right? Like, you know, you did something stupid and you got to burn. Those stories. I know I do. I have a few of them actually. I always burn myself on the fire, like the fireplace, because this house that we have now is not the first house I've lived in that I had to make fires in. When I was living on a farm, I didn't work on the farm. We just lived in a farmhouse. it was an older house, and it was a like a furnace in the basement that you had to build a fire in. So I used to have to do that a lot. So I have mastered how to make a fire, though sometimes the fire at the house makes me want, like, I've almost lost it because it won't start, but it's because the wood's wet. At the farmhouse, the wood was inside, so it was, when it, like, we put it inside when it was dry, like all of it, like it was like 3/4 wood, and we put that in there because it was a big furnace, because it had to heat like a 2-level house, plus it heated the basement too, so like it had to heat a lot, so it was a big furnace, like there's a lot of wood that had to go in there. But we would put it in during like the fall, through the window, like the basement window. We would like have people throwing it into the basement, and then we would go and we'd pick it up and we'd start stacking it. And there's a lot of wood involved, but it's a lot bigger than the wood stove we have at my house now. It was like probably 3 times the size. But yeah, like I burnt myself on that one. I've burnt myself multiple times at the one at my house now. But yeah, it's wood stoves are the best because they're the best way. It's better than electric energy, and it's better than oil energy. And by energy, I mean like for heating. In the long run, it costs you a lot less. But it's monotonous. You actually have to do something. It's not just a flick of a switch like it is for the other two. Like, I just turn on the thermostat and boom, there we go. The heat starts pumping. I actually have to sit there and build a fire. Like put the paper down, and then the cardboard, and then I use also like egg cartons because they continue to burn. Like they burn for a lot longer because what they're made out of is like recycled paper and stuff like that, and cardboard, but it's all compressed, so it burns for longer. And then you put your almost like your like little shaving type things, like little bits of wood and bark and stuff, and then you put bigger pieces of wood and bark on it, and then you put little strips of like kindling, and then you put a bigger piece of wood on top. And you want to start with coals. My gosh, don't start without coals. You're going to be there forever. My wife does that. She cleans out the entire thing and puts all the coals away. And I'm like, I need those. It is easier. You're making my life multiple times harder than it needs to be right now. I need the coals in there. So when I clean it out, I take the coals out and I put it on the little lip that's on the wood stove. And I put all the coals there. And then I clean out the rest, like the rest of the soot, because the soot can actually harm your fire. It can hinder your fire, and you have a lot less room to work with. And sometimes it just gets in the way. So like it is something you have to like really, really do, which reminds me I'm probably gonna have to do that when I get home, is just take all the soot out and get all of the coal that's left over, and start from there, because it's about time that I cleaned out the soot. The soot's in there. It's gross. It gets everywhere. Ugh, I always end up with like soot on my hands and stuff like that. Like when I do this, I'm all hands in, so like I can't touch anything until I wash my hands afterwards, because my hands, like all of my hands are black and gray with soot, because I'm taking coal out with my hands because it's not on fire, because that would be dumb. And I end up having to wash my hands and like halfway up my arm. Yep. Talked a lot about burning and fire today. I don't know why. Probably because it's so wet out, and I'm gonna get soaking wet, and I'd like to be by a fire where I'm gonna, dry off. Melinda's probably here somewhere, but I don't know where. I'm not gonna go find her either. I'll go inside. No thanks. Anyway, it's been about 25 minutes, so I think we're good. Hope I didn't bore you. be careful. Just when there's hot stuff around, like, just if you want to take one word of advice from me, always be careful when there's something hot that can burn you. Like, I know that sounds like I was going to end the video, but I think that I need to, like, put, like, a PSA out there, like, public service announcement. Hey, there's Melinda. I can tell because of the bumping music. Like, hey, don't go and touch things that are hot. I know you learned that when you're a kid, but, like, seriously, be super careful around fire, around anything that's, like, really hot that can burn you, because burns suck, especially when they bubble. Ugh, I hate that when they bubble. Because it's, like, just full of, it's fluid and it's gross. Trust me, I've had it happen multiple times. It's gross, and then you have that extra skin there that you got to take off. It's just not cool, okay? I don't mean to just make you, you know, cringe or anything, but just don't do it. Just be so careful. Like, I burn myself on the oven all the time because I'm not careful. And take it from someone who's, like, used to burns now. Like, to the point where burns, like, they bother me, but not as much as they used to. Like, I burnt my finger the other day. Like, I've burnt, like, probably part of my fingerprints off because I'm dumb, okay? Like, I'm not careful. So don't do as I do as I say, and be super careful around anything that's really, really hot. Because burns suck, and they usually scar. And, you know, knife cuts hurt, but they heal pretty okay. Burns, you're, like, you're burning, like, something that you really need. And burns will go down really, really far. Like, I've got scars from cuts, too. Like, that's a scar there from cuts. But most of the scars you can see on my arms are all from burns, from not being careful. So be careful. Fire is nothing to be played with. Trust me. I know. Don't play with fire or you're going to get burned. That sounds cheesy, but you are going to get burned. And fire is nothing to really joke about. Like, we have to have 2 fire extinguishers in our house. So that we can, like, for our insurance, like, for insurance purposes, we need to have a fire extinguisher near the fire and then a different fire extinguisher for our stove. Little hints there. Like, if you have fire extinguishers in your house, your insurance will go down. I'm pretty sure that's how that works. Because we have 2. We have one by the fire and we have one that's in the kitchen. But yeah, don't play with fire. Don't do it. And be careful when you're around burning hot things like stoves or anything like that. Just be very weary of burning things. But don't be so cautious that you jerk too quickly around it, or you're going to get burned too. I've done that too. But yeah. Now that I've like legitimately scared the crap out of you, hopefully scared you enough that you don't play around with fire, I'm gonna go. So I'll catch you guys later. Kid Charming out.